it was so exciting that I said, I need to ask you a question. How did you become Madonna, and how did you break free, and how did you, your father sing you doing what you do and all this stuff? Because I was so caged up. And, she said, travel and travel alone.
Exploring the human journey.
Soul blazing is a type of therapy I came up with after working with hundreds of people from around the world. When you do traditional therapy, it's mind to mind, and I found that people get a benefit, but people were starving for something much richer, something much deeper. And my background is acting. And I studied with the Groundlings, and I studied with Lee Strasberg. I studied with a lot of wonderful teachers, Stella Adler. So I picked up so many wonderful body and mind and emotion techniques. And then when people started relating to the ego, because really who we are is we're all coming from our ego. What do people think of me? What do I think? Everything's judgment, judgment, judgment. So I started working with people and focusing, now what is this person's problem? Now what is this one? Where are they coming from? This person uses sex to get what they want. They use it to manipulate, they withhold, or they offer it up. This person is a narcissist. They bully people into this and that. Oh, this person's an overthinker. They can't get anything done because they're going to overthink it to death. So I came up with 8 archetypes of people, and I thought, okay, let me try this. So I said, okay, that's your king or queen imposter is how I made it. And then you have your court, so you may lead with a wounded inner child, but you still may have part of a narcissist, part of a inner counselor, part of a philosopher or a clown or a fixer in you. So we start working with that. Once I say, okay, this is who you are, and after they do the test, then we work with that. They're like, oh my God, aha moments come out of everywhere. And then that's where I started seeing change. So with soul blazing, when you understand who you are, where it's coming from your soul instead of your ego, that's when you see miracles. That's when you're in alignment, mind, body, heart, soul, and that's when you could be happy. And you may not be the richest in the world, but your riches come from all these other areas where it's much better.
Hi and welcome. I'm so glad you joined us today. We are in the beautiful home of Lisa Haisha today, and she is awesome. I can't wait to tell you all about soul blazing and all of the amazing things. Lisa, thanks for hosting us. Thanks for being a part of our journey.
Oh, thank you. It's such an honor to be here.
We have learned so much about you this afternoon and the time we've gotten to share. You have been on a wonderful adventure in your life. Tell us where the soul blazing started.
Soul blazing started when, I think it started when it wanted to start, before I even knew it started, because I think it started evolving when I started taking acting lessons, and then my travels around the world. When you meet so many people, I've traveled to over 80 countries.
Wow.
And I really travel. I used to get off a plane. Someone taught me this. Get off a plane and you meet your soul family. So I never booked a hotel or anything. That I'd say, hi, can I stay at your place?
Wow.
I'd find people that I felt I resonated with, my soul family.
Yeah, I love that. We've had those experiences where we meet someone and it works out, the synchronicities unfold, and it's so fun to just let spirit flow and be guided that direction.
Yes, and you let a country or a city take you on a trip. You don't plan and, here's my itinerary from this time to this time, I'm doing this, I'm going to see these sites. It's like, no, you just go and go, where is it going to take me? What am I supposed to see, feel, hear, think on this trip? And I think once I started meeting so many people, started meeting all these souls and hearing about everyone's issues and everyone's amazing lives and all these different stories from all over. I'm talking from sleeping with the Bedouins in the mountains of Petra for 3 nights, and a family of 52 where you cook your food underground, and all those stories. And I was a life coach to this Muslim man with 5 wives, and the 52 children. I'm like, how did you do this? The children, and how do the wives, and talking about their differences, to working with the Maoris and studying what they do from New Zealand, those healers, and the Aborigines in Australia, to shamans in Peru. I went and stayed there for several weeks and worked
Oh.
with them, and I did ayahuasca and did the whole
Oh,
journey.
cool.
Yes.
Oh, you just got his attention.
Yeah, ayahuasca is super important to me, so we'll get to that point.
Yes, and it's, so much of that, it's all a spiritual thing, and if you do it the right way in the right location, it's amazing, and the results are something I don't think you could get from talking to someone.
Yeah.
It really is going in and having that spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
So all of that led me to writing a book called Whispers from Children's Hearts, because
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
Iraqi, and
Wow.
my father's from Iraq. My mom's actually American.
Awesome.
Yes, and when I was 16 years old, I was baking a cake 3 houses down, and we were not allowed to. We had to go to school and come home. And my dad happened to be home, even though he worked from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. And I walked through the door, and he pointed a gun at me and said, "I'm sending you to an orphanage. What kind of a girl are you staying out like this?" I'm like, "I was just baking a cake.
Oh my gosh.
Teresa's birthday tomorrow." Yes, and that shocked me because it was always be afraid of strangers.
Yeah.
Everyone's out to get you, and you have to marry within, how Middle Eastern cultures, you kind of marry a
Yeah.
second, third cousin, and you keep it in the family.
Oh, wow.
And at that point, I just was like, this is the person that I'm supposed to trust when he's saying don't trust others. And something snapped. I was such a goody-goody at that time. And then something broke, and I'm like, oh, I want to run away. And he's like, here's some money. I said, I don't have money. He was, take it. Then I said, great. Then he said, why should I give you money?
Oh my
Because he didn't want me to go. So I went to my room. I hate my life. I want to run away. All that kind of stuff. But then it made me think, who are all these strangers I'm supposed to be so afraid of?
Yeah.
So I started sneaking out and hitchhiking.
Oh,
I'd only
no.
get
Oh,
in
my
cars
goodness.
with like Hell's Angels types.
What?
Yes. If you guys pulled up, I'd say, I'm just kidding. Then I'd wait for a bad guy in a beaten up car
That
and
is awesome.
tat it up. And
Yeah.
then I'd say, get in and say, okay. They're like, where are you going? I said, just anywhere. I said, I want to know why you're broke. Have you raped women? Have you killed anyone? Why do you drive this car? Why do you look the way you do? Why do you have tattoos? Why do you have piercings?
Yeah.
My dad told me to fear you. I want to know what I'm supposed to fear.
Yeah. Why are you so scary?
And I'm sorry, my mouth is like dropping. And so, were they just like open and just started sharing?
I did this probably 15 times. I even got into a black van with 4 Dobermans and 2 guys.
Oh my God.
And my sister was there, and she's like, don't do it. I'm going to call the police. Because I said, no, come. I do this all the time.
I do it all the
She's
time.
like, no. I'm like,
The van says free candy on the side, but I got in it.
No, but I know they're my soul family. If they
Oh my
picked
God.
me up, I said, I'm connected to them. I will not get hurt. I just had this higher belief.
you-
And I think the other belief was, if I do get hurt, I get to punish my parents for not.
Oh.
So it's like, I
Wow.
didn't care either way.
So that was your rebel fist up in the air.
And
then.
I
Yeah.
realized that's who ISIS is today. They don't care if they die. When
Yeah.
you don't value life or you don't value yourself in a
Yeah.
way, you are fearless. So I
Yeah.
was just fearless. So that van pulled over and said, you got to get out. Your sister is going nuts and
Oh,
getting her
boy.
license plate.
Yeah, they were afraid they're going to go back to jail.
They did want it.
So I got out, and I think that was the last time I did it. But that energy stayed with me because I called them my therapist. They were my therapist, and that's when I started traveling at 16. When I did these were little mini trips. And I went to the beach. I went all sorts of different places. They just drove me. One guy, the handle was broken off, and he had weird stuff in the back seat. And I'm like, I can't get out. He goes, no, I have to get out of the car and get you. I said, okay, so are you a rapist? He said, no, I'm not. Then I'm like, well, what about all that stuff? And he's like, no, don't, I'm so sorry. I didn't know I was picking up someone. And I said, so I can't get out of the car. He's like, no. I'm like, but I shouldn't be scared. He said, no, that's not what I do. And I'm like, but when do you do it? Why didn't you fix it? But I just was voracious in these questions of who are you? What makes us think? What makes us tick? Who are we souls? Are we personalities?
Yeah.
So I was exposed to so much. And then at 22, I was at San Diego State, and Madonna was playing there, her very first concert, Virgin Tour, and that was the school I was going to.
Had she blown up
Right.
at that point? Or was
It
this...
was her first concert
Oh.
ever.
Wow.
So people heard of her. Her record went to number
Yeah.
one. So I'm like, I got to go see this. And then we found out, my girlfriend and I were at the band, and we thought Madonna was staying, but it ended up, we went there, waited an hour and a half. Then the band came, but Madonna didn't. But we went up there and met the band. And of course, everyone's drinking and doing this. It's like, but I'm like, oh, I have to be home by 11. I'm going to church tomorrow morning. And I can't drink. They're like, who are you?
Yeah.
But I got to sneak out and do this. But I exchanged numbers with her keyboardist and arranger. And we kept in touch and kind of started dating through phone conversations. And he's like, come to Utah, come to Florida, come to Kentucky, come, I can't, I'm not allowed to spend the night. He's like, you're 22. I'm like, I can't, I'm supposed to get married. All this stuff.
Wow.
So when they ended the tour in New York, like 6 months later, it was 5 nights in New York. I said, I have to go to this. So I left my dad a note. Sorry, have to do this. I'm going, I said, I'm going to Europe, because I thought if I go there, I'm going to book a trip to Europe. So I went there, and I was obsessed with meeting Madonna. So I met her about 100 times then, because we were together all the time. And I got to
they
sit
call
on
that a
stage.
stalker, right?
No, I wish she was my soul sister.
welcome to Confessions of Exploring Human.
Difference.
So good.
There's a difference. Yeah, I just was like, oh my God, how did you do it? Because she came from a patriarchal family and
She
a
did.
big family.
Yeah.
And so, I got to sit in the front row on stage, and this is a girl who's done nothing. So it was so exciting that I said, I need to ask you a question. How did you become Madonna, and how did you break free? And how did you, your father sing you doing what you do and all this stuff? Because I was so caged up. And, she said, travel and travel alone. And when you travel by yourself, you get to figure out what you think. Because if we're traveling, I'm trained to say, oh, what do you want to do? Oh, what do you want? You want coffee? Okay, I'm going to have coffee too. Oh, you want to get up at 6 to go see the museums? Okay, I love getting up at 6.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're totally right. Yeah.
That's how we're groomed, especially as females. So I said, travel by myself? And I'm like, okay, interesting idea. So I went on this trip. That was with a girlfriend though. But she started saying, oh, here's the itinerary, because her boyfriend did the same trip that we scheduled the year prior and wanted her to do everything he did. So I'm like, no. We landed in Germany, and we took a nap. It was like 4:00, and we found out about a club. So we got up at 8, and we went out to this nightclub, and we're dancing. Then at 11, she's like, oh, we have to go because we have this, church at 6 a.m. And I said, no. Madonna said, do what you want to do.
Yeah.
So she left, and to get her, shut eye. And I stayed till 4 a.m. till it closed. I'm dancing with this guy. Then it's over. He's like, okay, see ya. Then I'm like, wait. And I realized she had our purse. She had the card of our youth hostel that was like $6 a night. Yeah. All my money. I had nothing. I had just nothing. When you first time traveling, you don't know anything. So she carried everything, my passports. I'm like, you can't abandon me. So I went back to his house, my first time.
Of course. Like you do.
Yeah, exactly. But he ended up being a pilot, and he canceled his flight because he's never done that before.
Oh my.
I'm like, what are you doing at 4 a.m. drinking if you're flying at 8 o'clock the next day? But I guess that's what they do.
And that's why TWA no longer is in service.
Right, yeah. But he ended up calling his friend, drove her home, so found her and brought her back, and everything worked out. But within 4 or 5 days, I took the train ride. Then we went to Germany to Italy to Switzerland. Everything of mine was stolen because it says I've never traveled before. I'm an idiot, went to everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Yeah. And I called my dad. What are you doing? I'm like, just send me money. I have nothing. Yell at me later.
Yell at me later. Yeah. Which I know you will.
Yeah.
So you kind of learned all the lessons in one.
I learned so much. Now that's never happened. I've been to so many countries. Nobody looks at me as if nobody even bothers. Everyone's just, hi, what can I do for you? It's just really amazing. So I started traveling, and then I came to LA to be an actress. I said, Dad, sorry, I've got to move, and I'm doing this and that. So I did some commercials, some B movies, and I got a couple of roles. I got a soap opera. I got a Pierce Brosnan HBO show, but I had to be nude and cover this and that. And this show, you had to love it. I can't do it. So I quit acting after about a year and said, oh, what am I going to do? And I said, I need to go to Iraq. I need to find out what's stopping me. Who am I? Who do I want to be? I want to understand the culture. So I went there when Clinton was bombing, and they were every day on the news, we hate America, we hate America. So nobody would go with me, of course, so I went by myself.
Of course course you did.
And I
You know who I am? Yeah. Tell us more.
yeah, so I threw a funeral for myself, invited all my friends and family
Did
over.
you really? Do?
I did, and I
Oh
gave
my
everybody
God.
whatever I had. You get this, you get that. Here's my will. Here's and then I went, and then I go to New York, then New York International that takes you to Jordan, then it's an 18-hour bus ride into Iraq. So at New York International, I meet this woman who I was loosely in touch with because the expats, I went when the expats were going. So I would know Americans were there, other people were there, Arab Americans were there. So I'm like, hi, I'm like, who are you with? She's, I'm by myself. I said, are you crazy?
And so you're scolding her.
I'm like, what are you doing? She goes, oh, I'm going there to kill myself. I said, oh my God, I'm going there to like get kidnapped because I just quit acting. I don't know what I'm going to do. So then I know I'll escape. Then I'm going to write a tell-all book. Why don't you join me?
You got it all planned out.
Yeah, don't kill yourself.
Might as well
Do
do it
this. And she
together.
goes, oh, that would be fun. Then that's worth living for. I said, yeah. So let's go have an adventure.
Oh, so good.
So when we got to Jordan and started the 18-hour bus ride, they come on your bus like 4 or 5 times. Like the bad guys, it's security check, and they're supposedly kidnap people or they steal your things. So we were in the back. We're like, Louis Vuitton, Rich. Oh, is that your diamond, darling? Let me fix your.
Wow.
And they're all so nice. Oh, Habibi. I'm like. We went to the VIP section because then you have to go in and sit for like 3 hours where they check everything. And your dad is Hekmet, your father, your uncle did this, your dad, they knew everything about me.
Oh, wow.
But while you're sitting there, you don't get to eat or drink, and everyone's saying, just sit there, and it's very stressful and behave because they could just lock you up and for no reason. And so I have my video camera filming, and everyone was, again, so nice. I said, let me be spicy. So I'm like, I'm hungry. Will someone feed me? I've been here all day. When is this going to wrap up? Then the guys come and they're like, oh, we'll help you. I'll give you food. I'm like, no. I said, okay, I'm going to coach you guys. You guys have to be mean. I want someone yelling at me in Arabic here. And I demonstrated because of my acting. I said, this is going to be the most boring video if everyone's so nice.
You're ruining my
You
feature.
need conflict.
Yes.
Conflict, people.
Conflict and resolution. Let's bring it.
Everyone's going, stop, you have like no idea. You're in a different country. Stop it, you stupid American. And then I'm like, no, it's fine.
But you're looking for the adventure, though.
I wanted to get,
Yeah.
let's take her away. Then
What's
I'm like,
the story? Show me a story. Yeah.
yes. So then they took me, I said, I'm bored. So he goes, I'll give you a tour. I'm like, great. They go, don't go. I'm like, I'm going. And they told me stories, and this one just had one leg, and this happened. I mean, it was just amazing. They made me food, and everyone else is starving. They're like, don't eat it. It's maybe poison. I said, that's okay, because then I've got a story.
That's even better.
Yeah.
The worse things that happen to you, the better the story is.
I never thought of that, but yeah, even better. It's what I don't care. I'm eating the whole thing. It was like, oh my God.
Nobody wants to hear about how you had an amazing time
Right.
and nothing happened. They're like, did you get kidnapped? What
Yeah.
happened then? You got poisoned?
Yeah, they were doing rallies. We hate America on TV and all the things. Then I'm like, Ash, let's go quick. And we go there. We're Americans. And as soon as the thing in it, oh, come here. You could eat for free in my restaurant. You just said you hated us. Oh, we have to do that for the cameras.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, okay. So we got
Wow.
bored. We left after 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We were going to stay 6 weeks. It's impossible. But we got to meet Tariq Aziz and Taha
wow.
Ramadan, the vice president,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
Secretary of State. Yeah. And all that was exciting. But we couldn't meet Saddam or his kids. That never worked out. But we got close, you know.
You might
Yeah.
have gotten kidnapped if you tried to meet Saddam at that time.
Yeah. And
Wow.
or his kids, they said, no, we need your dad's permission. He has to write a letter. I'm like, really? I'm not under 18. And it was just an
Yeah.
excuse because they were
Yeah.
scared.
Yeah, so you're really finding human story and you're finding human connection, and it's not we're all looking for that same thing that hey, I imagine the people that were the bad guys, they're like, hey, let me tell you my story.
Yes.
This is the reason I feel
Yes.
this way. They really
They
want to share
trusted
their,
me
yeah.
because I said, I don't judge you. I went and modeled in Tokyo. Then I came back from that and I got a trip to Japan to model in Tokyo. And I thought, great, not to model because I don't care about that, but stories. I want to know what a geisha's like because that's what I felt like as a Middle Easterner. They're, trained to just serve the man and all that. And like, that's how we are, not to do that. But we're taught belly dancing. We're taught everything's about the man. So
It's that feminine sexuality that is used as a currency
Yes.
in those
Yeah.
repressed societies or those under enlightened societies.
Yes. So first thing I do is go, and then where are the geishas? They're in Kyoto. So I did a trip to Kyoto. Then I, sipping tea and going to the tea houses. Oh, where's this? Oh, where are the geishas? They're in Jian. Oh, really? Yeah, but don't go there. That's the most dangerous place. Really, Gian? Okay. Oh, I'll never go. I went outside.
Where's the map?
Gian. Yeah. I got in a car, went to Gian. They dropped me off. And I'm just hanging out looking for a geisha. I see a geisha. I'm running after the geisha, I'm following her, and I followed her into an elevator, then up to the 3rd floor. And then she walked into this place called the Lion's Den. And it was a hostess club.
Yeah.
And I see her checking, whatever, going in, checking in. Then I see her go off. So I went up and they said, yes. I said, I'm the new girl. They're like, we don't have a new girl. I said, oh, yeah, you do. I'm the new girl. And, I was a model there.
Yeah.
They're like, sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
Beautiful white girl shows up.
I'm working here. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just show me what to do. So they set me at a table. Now I'm a hostess. I'm like, okay. So, and there's women from all over the world there, Russians, Canadians, Parisians, everyone is there.
Yeah, so it was plausible that you were
10
there.
or 12 different, and I knew that,
Yeah.
I did a lot of research. So I sit there and you're supposed to just talk with them and, listen to their stories. So I was just talking to the other girls. Why are you here? What are you doing? How much you get paid? Everybody hearing their stories. Then the men, I'm like, why are you here? They're like, because it's fun. You laugh a lot and everyone likes you. I said, but they're paid to like you. And they're like, yeah, that's okay.
It's fine.
I said, why don't you go home to your wife? They go, my wife, I go home, because they spend so much money there. Each drink, your job is to say, I want another drink, because they have to buy your drinks, and each drink is like $50, So I said, this is costing you so much money. I said, why don't you just go home? They go, I go home to my wife. She doesn't want to see me. She doesn't laugh at my jokes. She won't talk to me. She just wants my money, and I give my check to her.
Yeah.
So I'd rather come here,
Yeah.
at least dance, get some laughter, and even if you fake,
Wow.
that you're interested in me, I don't care, because
Yeah.
they're in it for the moment, and I'll give you the money.
Yeah. We
So-
are simple creatures, let me tell you.
Yeah, but you learn so much from that. Then you're watching the dancers and the this and the,
So you just had this innate drive to find
Fierce.
out why people function, how people function.
why and
Yeah.
how did they get to where they are? And then I see the geisha start to leave. I'm like, excuse me, follow her out the door. Then she goes to a taxi, slips in, and I slip in after her, and she's like, oh, and I'm like, no,
You're
please.
freaking them out.
Please, I need to talk to you. And she's like, what? I said, I'm only here for a few days. I need to ask you, what is it like to be a geisha? And what does it feel like? And all that. So I interviewed her. Then I said, here, I'm going to pay for her ride home, and sent her home.
So doing this, did you have an idea of what you were doing with this information, or was it
No.
just
It was just
curiosity?
a ferocious curiosity. Just I think this hole inside that needed to be filled, where I felt like I didn't belong. And if you understand belonging, if you don't feel like, I felt like, oh, I don't belong to my family. That was, so when you feel like, especially you don't belong to your family, there's something missing in you. So you're constantly searching, where's my family? Are you my mommy? Are you my mommy? Like those little stories,
Yeah.
And I didn't know any of that at the time, but I think that's what I was doing, trying to connect. If you don't connect to others, you really have nothing. It doesn't matter what you do. Now I've worked with some of the top, almost everyone I interviewed, I've worked with, and I've, sat with, ate with, or coached them, or did something, a lot of top celebrities, and in Japan, several billionaires. And I'm like, why are you calling me as your therapist? Because they're talking about all their businesses and having me brainstorm. I'm like, okay, I'll brainstorm robotic equipment. And,
Oh, wow.
and I'm like, why are you paying? And I keep charging a lot of money, and they just pay. I'm like, I'm gouging you. Why are you doing this?
I'm stabbing you. Do you understand that? Well, it's fine. It's fine.
I said, I don't understand. They said, because they said in Japan, we're not allowed to tell anyone our problems. I always have to save face.
Oh.
So they said, we can't talk to friends can't talk to colleagues. Your wife doesn't care. And they said, your friends you can't share with, because you've always got to be, oh, I'm doing better than you, or we're buddies. So you're such a stranger. And yet I'm a good listener. And they said, you just listen. They just want a sounding board to hear themselves. And I give feedback of what I know. And so it was interesting. So you learn so much from that. So you're talking to people from all over, some of the top celebrities to, these top businessmen to, I just spoke in Zurich at the Post-Grammy Awards. This was like a big deal.
Wow.
And John, Tina Turner, and all these people, and you're the keynote. So then you're talking to all these multimillionaires and, business people who travel all over doing all sorts of ventures, and now you're in their minds because you're the speaker. Everyone talks to you. Then they set up coaching. We want you to come back and coach our company. We want you to do this. So now you're working with, the Swiss, the French, the this. So when you listen and have that kind of experience instead instead of just going getting a master's degree and putting a shingle on your door and saying, okay, I read all the books and now I'm ready to coach you. So tell me about your problems. So when I used to do that to people, when I came back from Iraq, I said, I want to dig deeper. Oh, so in Iraq, I said, let me go to where my father was from, Tilkef, the Christian place. And I went to an orphanage there. It's a small place. That's where Saddam's from too. And all they had was like a hospital, an orphanage, a little liquor store, and like caves that you could jump from rooftop to rooftop. And I stumbled into this orphanage and I'm like, this is where my dad had in mind when I was 16 to put me, because this is what he knew.
Boom.
And I started asking them questions. Who are you? How do you like it here? They felt, we don't have a voice. Nobody likes us. Nobody protects us, because everyone's bombing them. Why isn't anyone doing anything about it? I lost my father. I lost my mom, my uncle, this, my da-da-da-da-da, and all these stories. I'm like, I care about you. They're like, no, you don't know. I go, I'm going to memorialize your words. So then I thought, how am I going to memorialize their words? I'm not writing. I'm not doing anything. I'm not famous. I don't have a show. So I just started asking them questions and then videotaping it. And then every place I went after that, I started making sure I went to the orphanages. And then I started working in orphanages. And then anyway, I went to 15. So I asked them the same questions and got all this information, then really put the strongest answers in this book. I put 3 to 4 to 5 answers for each question from each country. That because a lot of them overlapped because they had some of the same feelings. And once that was published, I sent it to libraries around Europe and stuff.
Did you self-publish?
I did.
Yeah.
And I sent it to libraries and stuff, and then I got asked to speak everywhere. So all of a sudden now I'm a speaker, and that's how that happened.
So when you write that book, it's better than giving a business card, because we take that business card, we put our gum in it, and throw it in the back pocket.
Yes.
You give someone a book, and it's literally like a piece of holy material. You don't throw books away.
You don't just toss it.
Yes.
So that's I think the most benefit that comes from, hey, I'm an author. Oh, you're an author. And even whatever that material is, you now have become an expert and you put the work into it.
Absolutely. And just traveling to all those countries, then talking to all those children, because I was talking to so many adults. And then now it's all these children, hundreds of children. So I feel like, wow, I really understand people. So anyone could sit in front of me from any culture. They're like, God, I feel like you know me. And I'm like, yeah, I do. I've met a lot of you.
You are embodying curiosity. It is your experience is the closest thing I've ever heard of what it would be like if you could be God and you could talk to as many people as possible to see what life is through their eyes. You are the closest thing to the divine God or goddess that I've ever heard in a human person, because you want to know, well, why does that? And I think that's what the divine is doing, is it's trying to experience different aspects of consciousness. So you're very curious. You're like, tell me what makes you tick. Because you have this insatiable curiosity.
Oh yeah, in Japan, I went to meet the Yakuza.
Yeah.
And you could tell who they are because they have a finger cut out.
Oh my God.
So I saw them at a table, like, oh, you guys are Yakuza. I was with my friends, like, don't go to them. I'm like, no, I'm going to them.
What is it?
I said, you guys are Yakuza. They go, no, we're not. I go, yes, you are. And I said, do you mind if I join? I sat with them. And I said, okay, I want to go to a locker where you have severed heads. I mean, I was young. That's all I read about. They're like, I don't have that. I go, yes, you do. I read about it.
I read about it.
You did.
And there was this movie one time I saw.
They're like, we really don't. I said, you do. And you drive Porsches and all these fancy
and
cars.
You drift, Tokyo Drift. I've seen the movie.
They're like, we do. I said, you do.
Show me karate.
I want to go on a ride with you, and I want to know why you chose to kill people, why you threatened people, why you said, you know what I want to do with my life? This is what I want to do. And they're like, okay. So I started hanging out with them for a few days until one busted his hand through a wall, and that scared me because that was the first time I saw that strong.
That's what it finally took to scare you. Okay.
But I never saw severed heads, but they were really nice.
Yeah.
But they were really nice.
They're the nicest murderers I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, but what they do is they go to every establishment and say, pay me like $50,000 a year and we'll protect you. And if you don't pay us, we're going to destroy your business. We're going to hang out
That's
here.
what the mob does.
Yeah. So I'm like, why do you choose? What is going on?
Tell us
So I
more.
learned
Yeah.
all these stories, and and then they just open up because this chick is just weird,
Mm.
and they open up to me, and I'm just meeting these people that you normally wouldn't get to meet, because people tiptoe around them, and even Iraq with Taha Ramadan, the vice president. Oh, you can't sit at that table. I'm like, I'm in a room with these. I'm sitting at that table. I went to their table. Can I have this seat? And sat down. Hi.
Or something. Hi, can I have this seat?
I am trying to talk to Saddam, and it's not working out. So can I ask you a few questions? So
Wow. So you're totally exploring, you're exploring the human journey to the max.
From the inside out.
Yeah, from the inside
I
out.
love
Yes.
it.
And so at some point, was there a time in your life where you really had that spiritual awakening?
I think every conversation I had with someone was a spiritual awakening in one small bite. They say, it's not just, one day your whole life changed, but I think it's all the tiny pieces that lead up to it. Then you burst, the aha comes. But I think when you say, oh, how did soul blazing come back? Well, all of these experiences without me even knowing it at the time, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just almost wanting to be hurt for some reason because I didn't value myself or love myself. And I was trying to find, how do you love you?
Yeah.
How do you live life? What do you do? What do you do? Because I think the pain was so deep without me knowing that, but in retrospect.
Yeah.
So by doing that and learning about other people, then giving back, if anyone's watching this and they want to be happy, anyone who's depressed, doesn't know what they want to do with their life, doesn't know what career to choose, give back, volunteer.
Yep. You got
Once
it.
I started volunteering and working for these orphanages, and I started leading retreats because my friends started saying, I want to go with you. So I said, okay, come. And then anyway, now there's 10 people, now there's 12 people, and we're going and doing this work. And then at nighttime, we soul blazed. We sat around, it was like therapy circle. So during the day you give, and at nighttime you get therapy, because when you like yourself, you could open up more and you could heal more.
Yes.
If we just did therapy, it's still the narcissist imposter.
It
It's all
is.
about you. But now you're like giving all day, then everyone's feeling, oh my God, did you see that child? Do you know we built this, school? We, helped refurbish a school. We, went to this, we just knocked on doors with money and here's some money. What do you need? And it was like Oprah moments, oh, you need goats, you need chickens, you need a floor, you need a bunk bed. And we just go get the local carpenters to build it and do it. And then they're like, oh my God, we'd have it done in a day and go to the next house or go random. So it was really fun. Then you go back and now you're doing your therapy, and then everyone's heart's filled.
Yep.
And that's when transformation happens. That's when change happens. Then you start liking yourself more, going, oh, whatever is in my head that I'm a bad person, maybe I'm not. That was just a story
Oh, that's good.
that my parents put, you have to do this or you're bad. You got to do this or you're wrong,
Part of my healing journey has been ayahuasca ceremony.
Yes.
I saw in ayahuasca ceremony the madre. I saw this cord, and I go, "What is that?" She said, "That's universal consciousness." And I'm like, "Oh," she goes, "That's what you are doing. You are playing different characters, but you're constantly in universal consciousness." And I go, "Well, explain more." She goes, "It's like this." And I see a mountain, and I see this. It looks like a ski lift, but they're the gondola cars, like if you're going up on the Swiss Alps or something. And I see each individual gondola car, and I go, "What is this?" She said, "These are the characters that you are playing." And she was very clear. She said, "You are doing." I go, "What do you mean I'm doing? What about Gail?" She says, "There's no Gail. That's a character you're playing." And I'm like, "What?" She goes, "And while you're at it, you're just playing the character of David also, because you're part of universal consciousness."
Yes.
And I go, "What do you mean by this?" And I'm deep in the medicine. I'm like, "Is this me making this stuff up?" She goes, "Look up. What are all the cars connected to?" And I see the cable. She goes, "That's universal consciousness. We are all one, connected to this same thing." And so what you are doing in your journey is you're saying, what does each character feel like? What's their motivation? What do they like? What do they not like? Why are they doing that? You're like exploring the different facets of universal consciousness. You're exploring the characters. It's fascinating.
Yes.
And so at some point, you've done all this research that you didn't realize you were doing.
Right.
And it started to form what you help people with are the archetypes.
Yes, I came back from some of these trips and I decided to get a master's in psychology just to be,
Like you do.
you know,
You know,
I take some time off and relax.
I need to take some time.
Down.
Yeah, master's degree. I was bored traveling the world.
Yeah. So I then learned all these
Oh my
techniques.
God, it's fascinating.
So when I start working with people, they're saying, do this. And in class, you practice and you know, to try to get your hours in. And then I'm like, God, this is just not as exciting as what I did before.
talking with the Yakuza.
Yeah. This is just not, or just how they teach you to work with people. It's beneficial for sure, but I want, you know, stronger. You know, I want to see people like explode and have aha moments, not have years of therapy. You know, like I know so many people that have been in therapy for 20 years, 30 years. It's just like that one person that they connect with all the time.
You're looking for transformation.
Yeah, so all that's great for what that
Yeah.
is. And I thought, oh, I'm interested in the bam, you know, what's that moment that's going to just break you free and just shift your whole reality? Like I had one of my first clients here was a 30-something-year-old, like 34, 35, and he was from New York, and he said, oh, someone referred you. And he said, I've been in therapy for 10 years in New York, every week, had never missed one. And he said, I'm looking for a therapist here. I said, well, I'm not a therapist. I said, I'm a soul blazer. And I said, you don't need to see me for years. years.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I said, what's your problem? And he said, well, he was a casting director and he said, I've been doing this forever. And I, you know, da, 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 da. And I said, he's good looking. Has a great job and he travels all over the United States to cast, you know, and all the, you know, mid-America and all that. And I said, then what's wrong? He's, I don't know. I can't connect to people or I'm not moving up the ladder. I want to be a director. I don't know how. And I go, how can you not when you meet all these people all the time?
Yeah.
And he's such a great guy, you know? And I said, okay. You know, I got to hold her hand. I looked him in the eyes and I just, you know, and I go, okay, I got something. I said, stand up, you know, he's like, okay. And I said, turn around. And he turned around and I said, tell me you're gay. Just say, Lisa. And he goes, I'm not. I said, I know you're not, but I'm saying this is just an exercise. I want to work on different aspects of your being. Then he said, okay, I'm gay. I said, turn around and tell me you're gay. Turn around and tell me you're gay. Turn around and tell me you're gay. And I said, he turned around and I said, I'm your father now. And I just, you know, whatever I felt his father. And I'm channeling, so I don't know what I said, but I just, everything I thought his father would do to him if he was gay. And then I said, turn around and goes, I said, and I'm your mom. And I became what his mom would do. And then his family. And then he turned around crying, saying, I'm gay. And I'm like, oh my God, because I didn't really know what it was. I knew there was something secret he was hiding. And he's in West Hollywood and he's in the closet. Embarrassed. So he used to drive an hour or two to get a fix and then come back. And he'd be tired. So he couldn't bond with anyone because he was living a lie.
Wow.
So he couldn't go out. He couldn't share. He couldn't, you know, it's always cagey and secretive.
Yep.
And I said, are you kidding me? Seriously?
Wow. You're already, that's where people go. Is
Yeah. And that was within 20 minutes. Then he's like, okay, I've been in therapy for 10 years. I never reveal that. I said, you didn't reveal that because you don't even know you're gay.
Yeah.
I said, you're hiding it from yourself. That's how deep this is.
Yeah.
And I said, you probably go do that and you think of it as a dream and you come back to reality. I said, that's how good you are at masking it because that's how scared you are. So I said, this is what we're going to do. I said, you're going to do a documentary because that's what you want to do. And it's going to be called Dad, I'm Gay.
Oh.
And I said, you are traveling across. He was just going to leave for a couple of months or whatever to go cast people. I said, you're going to, you know, I worked for the BBC and I did a documentary there. So I knew how to put books together and all that. So I said, you're going to put flyers in all the gay shops, call them up and say, you're from Hollywood and you're doing a documentary about guys coming out, and put them in all the gay bars. And you're going to do interviews at every place you're at. And your documentary will be finished by the time you come back.
Yep.
And that's what he ended up doing.
Yep.
And then he ended up coming out of the closet, telling his parents, and his dad said, I knew it. He's like, all this time I've been hiding it.
Yeah.
They're like, we knew.
Yeah.
We knew. You never had a girlfriend. You never had a date.
Yeah.
We don't like it. Just keep it to yourself. But then it fixed his relationship, and now he's a director, and now he's, you know.
Yeah.
So you're getting that intuitive hit as well.
Intuitive hit, or I feel around, I'll say something and see a reaction. I go, ooh, I hit a button here. Why is he so, if you say, right, you're gay, I'd say, I'm gay. I'm not gay, but I'm gay. What else do you want? What's the
Yeah.
next exercise? But he was
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, there's something here.
So in your search for the like in my little vision of each character, in your search for the understanding of the character that we are each playing, there's the ego construct.
Yes.
And you're saying, oh, all you got to do is, we can call the character the ego. All we got to do is define what your ego character
Yes.
is. And then we can put you in a way, in a language that you can understand it.
Correct.
So you've come up with these archetypes. You've come up with these different soul-blazing, different characters that we play. Talk about your work and how you integrate that in therapy with helping people, coaching them.
Yeah, so I started doing bigger conferences with 200, 300 people, and I would work with people on stage. And it started again as I never went to do this. I was asked to go on a cruise in Egypt, start in Cairo and go down the Nile, and then end up in Luxor, do the hot air balloon ride thing, and, go see sights, and then come back to Cairo. And it was a 10-day trip on the water, coaching 140 people. And there was like 10 coaches. And I was one of them that asked if I would be one. And then like 3 or 4 of us, they asked to speak, and they asked me to speak. Why? I don't know. They never heard me, but whatever they did, somehow that happened. So everyone had their PowerPoint, this is how you do this. This is how you do branding. This is how you, so everyone's like, oh, my head is too much information because they're on the Nile River and they want to go play.
Right.
So they said, oh,
Give us a break.
At least you just tell a story.
Yeah.
You travel, tell a story or something. So I said, okay. So I started talking and sharing a story. I started sharing my life in an hour, and everyone was just, so I went back to the room, and the next day was the, final party, and I didn't even go because I was like a beetle. Everyone was, I went soul blazing,
Yeah.
because I put people up on stage. And here's like one guy, he was a singer, backup singer for a lot of big bands. And so I'm like, okay, so why haven't you ever sang, oh, I'm scared too, or I'm not good enough and all that? Then during our therapy, then I said, go sing. He goes, no, I've never sang in front of anyone, and I need music. I said, no, we're going to write a song right now. And through the coaching, he wrote the song and then performed it.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's within 15 minutes.
Yep.
And he's never done this. So he's singing it and it was great on top of it. Everyone was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then he started crying
Yep.
on stage going, oh my God, I'm never going to sing backup again.
Yeah.
And his name was Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
Hey, tell me about being in jail and working with people.
Yeah, so that's where it kind of started. So I started working with people on stage, and I'm like, oh my God, so this is something that people really, they want to see. And I could see once I got them out of their body, stand up, move, do this, do that. It was much different from this. So I was asked to go coach in Chowchilla prison for women. It's all lifers.
Wow.
No one's out ever.
Yeah.
And I was there for 4 days, and we were working with, I don't know, there was about 25 of us and working with about 300 of them. So we do trios or duos. So I'd have 2 people or 1. And so I probably worked with, 10 people a day, maybe 15.
Wow.
And then my last person was the bully of the prison, one-on-one. And, she's like, oh, do what you want, you white honky. And I'm like, wait, what's the attitude? I thought you were here to get help. She's like, I've been in here for 25 years. She said, nobody's helped me. I've seen everything imaginable, from psychologists, priests, social workers, this, that, because everyone's been around. You don't think I've seen people because you come around in your little briefcase and you think you could relate.
Little girl.
You think you could relate to me? She had a
yeah.
shaved head. She was chocolate, and she was mean, and she just looked at me like the devil. And I just said, okay, I'm going to do something different with you. And then she's like, what are you going to do? I said, come here. And then she's like, what? And then I put my legs, interlock them with her like this inside. And I said, you know what your problem is? You have self-hatred. And she just went, because soul blazing is mirroring somebody, mirroring their ugliness, and saying, I'm not afraid of you. So I'm looking at her like that. Then all of a sudden she breaks. She had instant respect for me, and I was a soul sister.
Yeah.
Then I said, now talk to me. And I held her hands, tell me your story. And she told me I had to kill this guy because she killed 3 husbands, and whatever, one with a butcher knife, whatever, because they hurt her. And because her father hurt her. So she found mean people, narcissists, ugly people who did the same thing, burned her with cigarettes, all that's not important. We get the picture. So that's why she did it in self-defense. She goes, now I'm stuck here and I'm never out, so I'm angry.
Yeah.
So I said, what about being the angel of the prison? I said, I've traveled all over. You've lived in cities. I said, the prisons are like cities. I don't know if you know that, if you've ever been in one. It's like Sherman Oaks, it's just a whole
it's a
full-blown
community.
city.
Yeah.
So I said, why don't you create your life here? Forget about ever getting out, because that's not going to happen, but change your thoughts. You change your reality. Your thoughts become your reality.
Yeah.
It becomes your belief systems,
Absolutely.
it changes your actions, your everything, your motivation. So, we worked together and I helped her build up how she could be the kindest person in the prison. And I gave her affirmations. I said, tell me something ugly about you don't love yourself. Then we did an affirmation. What's a self-forgiveness? I said, you have to become a master at self-forgiveness. Yes. The most fierce self-forgiveness person on this planet. I forgive myself for judging myself as not being lovable. Then I am lovable, Okay, I kill people, so I don't like myself that I did that. Okay. So, we gave her affirmation and self-forgiveness. Then I wrote it on a card and I said, anytime you want to hurt someone, pull this out and remember who you are. This is who you are. I gave her like 3 or 4 statements of who she is. I said, now with this person, hurt anybody with this person, going down her list of who she is now. She's lovable. She is living in peace and harmony. She loves to give. I am a healer. So she's like, I go, would these people do this? So I said, you got to start training yourself that this is who you are now, because this is who you are. You're this beautiful, amazing person who was tormented since she was born. And so you created a shell and a mask. So you got to break it. So at the end of the session, she started crying and said, Lisa, you just blazed my soul. I said, you gave me my title of my career. I said, I'm a therapist. Now I blaze souls. I'm a soul blazer. And I said, you said you had nothing to give people. And she started crying. She said, you're going to name something after me? I said, yes. I am naming my business after you.
Wow.
So I said, now you just gave back in a big way, because that name's going to reach a lot of people.
Wow.
So I'm not just a life coach or a therapist.
Amazing.
Shout out to that beautiful soul.
So have you been able to follow up with her at all?
They don't allow you to, because you work with so many people and then they think, it's, So I did a little bit. What she ended up doing was she raised $75,000 in about 6 or 7 months for battered women. I said, you could call, there's a payphone, make amends, start helping all these other women. And the prison called and said, what did you do to this woman? I said, I blazed her soul. I said, I don't know. But if you just sat there and talked, so why are you here? Tell me about what's not working for you, which thing. I said, okay, let me toss it. Then I thought, oh, wow, a soul blazer wouldn't just talk. And I said, what is that? And I said, what? That was her narcissist. So I started going, then she went into her wounded inner child while she was talking. So I'm going, oh, there's something here. So when I started coaching people, I want to be married, but but oh God, what happened this week? I slept with this person. Then this guy called and my old boyfriend came over and I slept with him and I was upset because I don't want this guy to, I'm like, wait, you want to get married. So you're a sex goddess, you're a sex god. Men that I've worked with who, and I'm like, that's your main archetype. I'm like, oh, this one's like, oh, I've got to get a business. I'll do anything, kill to get to the top. Oh, that's a narcissist. Oh, you're a wounded inner child. Oh, this person's mean to me. Oh, you're a victim, So I started after,
finding the patterns.
3 or 4 months of 100 people or so writing down, and I came up with 8. So I said, that's probably good enough. Could fit everybody into these little compartments. So I started working with people, doing an imposter quiz and seeing who their king or queen imposter is. But a lot of us have all 8, one form or another. We overthink things if it's a tougher thing, or we use sex, or we, want to, if you go to bed, oh, let me wear a lower cut thing, or let me wear the tight clothes, or whatever it is. If you work out, let me show my abs, so we all use something, or we get vicious with business if we really want something competitive. And
well, sometimes we have to bring those archetypes out, sometimes depending on the situation.
But the thing is, I try to explain that it's like a pit bull. If you train the pit bull, it's lovely, it's beautiful, and it'll protect you and protect those you love. But if you beat it and torture it, it's going to bite you and it's going to bite others. So you have to train your imposters. Then you bring them out when you need them. When then you go, okay, I need my narcissist archetype in this situation, so bring it on. I need my wounded inner child for whatever reason. I have to play smaller. Whatever, you bring it on, whatever it is. But you're conscious of it. It's not running you. You're running it.
Yeah.
You know, just like our bodies usually run us instead of our minds. You've got to train your body. If you're depressed, I can't just get up. You know, I have a client who's saying, I just can't get up and do this morning job. It would be great if I could get up. I'm like, okay, let's start there.
Yeah.
I said, okay.
Yeah,
When
here's a cup of coffee. Let's set your alarm.
She's like, I can't even get the coffee. I just want to go, you know. So I said,
Yeah.
okay. She's 60 pounds overweight. She wants to lose weight. She wants to, but she said she can't get up in the morning. She's depressed. She's slugs. And then by the time 10 a.m., she already ate, you know, a piece of pie and coffee. And so I already ruined this day. Let me start tomorrow.
Oh,
and she said that's
boy.
been going on for 3 or 4 years. So I said, okay, you got to just change your behavior, because if you don't change your behavior, you're never going to get there.
Yeah.
So like, just when the alarm rings, jump out of bed whether you feel like it or not, and just that's it. Then even go back to bed at some point, but just train your body. I jump out of bed at this point. Instead of getting coffee, get a juice or drink 8 ounces of water and just go outside, go for a walk around the block, come back. Just something each day. Add something, then slowly you start to develop new patterns of behavior. Because if you're like in this groove, you're never going to get out of it. You have to jump it and do something drastic to shift gears and then go.
Yeah.
You'll never make it if you just keep doing the same thing you're doing, because that's what got you there. So you got to do something dramatic and really shift.
Yeah, I love that how you are the way you are because you wanted to be that way. If you didn't want to be that way, you'd be something different. What's that motivation? What's that internal voice? What's that, I'm not good enough, I might as well just stay here. Break that.
Yeah.
Yes, and if you want to stay in bed all day, every day, and keep gaining weight, great. Then bravo. But if you don't, you got to do something different.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't want to work much, you know, do this road. If you do, you got to, you know, but one step at a time. It's always those tiny baby steps. You don't have to do everything at one time. And you have to show up in life, because life comes to you by the level of your vibration and how big your vibration is. You could say, I want to be an actress, or I want to be a speaker, or I want to write a book, or I want to, you know, get that job. You know, 10 and 15 or 100 people are interviewing for a job. So they really don't care what you say. People don't really hear you. They're feeling your energy.
Absolutely.
And they're saying your motivation. They're saying, are you sparkling or not? My clients are going to come to you first. Are you a good first face? Or do you know how to get things done on time? You know, but the first thing is, how do you walk in a room? I directed a feature about Japan, Psycho Sushi, a movie about LA, Tokyo, hot love and cold fish. And so people would just walk in the room and I would say, okay, thank you. I would know just by them walking in. They would go like, wait. I go, okay, you could do a few lines, but I know, or their picture was so not, no, you tricked me, so don't waste my time. I just, I just knew. You go through the thing, okay, thank you very much, just because it wasn't right.
I like when you get the business card from the professional and you're like, whoa, that is not who you are. You haven't updated this for 20 years. I'm like, you have to be authentic. That's a turn off.
I wanted a Heather Locklear type blonde hair, tan skin, this woman with shockingly red hair with red freckles everywhere. And she was really tall, like 6'2". And I'm like, wait, this is at 5'6", petite. And she goes, oh, but I'm a great actress and I could form and you could put a wig on me. And I'm like, no, it's just, that's the energy of the personality or whatever that you're looking for.
Now, you also do a lot of galas that raise money.
Legacy galas.
The legacy galas. Tell me about that process, how you're bringing community together, you're raising consciousness, and you're contributing back to these people that need help.
Well, that came about because I was traveling all over and doing these retreats, and then I adopted a daughter, Ava, and I was at the hospital and cut the cord and brought her home. But then it was very hard to, I think going to all the orphanages, I just wanted to adopt a child. So I couldn't travel the way I was because now I had a baby. So I said, let me bring it back home. So let me do something here. So I started finding grassroots people doing amazing things who needed more money and attention. And since I had a strong hold on the media and I have friends so I did it at a beautiful hotel in Santa Monica. And then I got about 30 or 40 just media people and shows and this and that. So what they would get is they would get to speak in front of 300 people. They'd get in all these publications and, get seen, get heard, and plus get $20,000, donated to their cause to help jumpstart their,
Oh, nice.
they were working already, but help contribute to what they're doing. So it gave them a lot of visibility and help really start them off. And usually I picked women. Like one is Kids in the Spotlight Taiji charity created this one where foster kids who really have no hope and they're from home to home and they hate themselves and they feel like nobody cares about them. You write, direct, and star in your own movie.
Oh.
And then she has a film festival on a film lot, Sony or I think she usually does it at Sony lot. And 1,000 people are there, and she gets limos to donate their time, fashion designers to give them gowns, and hair and makeup people. And then there's an Academy Award, and actors go, and the best film is, and it's just like the Academy Awards for them. And then they get awarded. They're on IMDb, and it changes their whole life. And that is like, she's like, I have no money to start. I'm like, here. She goes, this is the first seed money. Oh my God. And so she could see her vision come to life, and it was just,
changing lives. Just changing lives. Love it.
There's all kinds. Yeah.
I love your show, Soul Blazing, that you've got. Tell me about that process of having it on Amazon Prime.
Yes.
And the season that you did and what other things you're doing with it for the continuation of that.
Yes, that's an Amazon show called Soul Blazing with Lisa Haisha, and that is interviewing people who have lived a life on purpose, that they had a mission and they accomplished it, like winning the Guinness Book World Records and Academy Awards, or, there's Dr. Sarah Larson, who she's done a lot of work around the world.
We love Dr. Sarah Larson. Shout out Dr. Sarah. The reason we're sitting here today. Namaste.
So a lot of amazing people from all sorts of fields, so it's like doctors, Guinness Book World, actors, spiritual leaders, so different people. So it helps the audience really understand what the process of achieving a dream is like. And there's so many different factors, and everyone does it in such a different way. So what is their thinking, and, how does their mind and soul work to bring on whatever it is they want to achieve? So it's remarkable to do that, to interview these amazing people. And it's wonderful for the audience, knowing you're giving this as a gift, and that's part of my legacy, to help others achieve what they want to achieve.
Beautiful.
So I'm going to continue doing those, and but the future is, I think I want to go back to doing bigger seminars, and I'm going to, since I have a lot of people around the world who know me, I'm going to do a one night a week, like Thursday, 6 to 7:30, where I'm going to have like a webinar where anyone could ask me questions, and it's going to have a theme, and so I could have 1,000 people on the call if I want.
Yeah.
So that's being created right now. I just upgraded the website, which should launch maybe on Monday or Tuesday of next week.
Nice.
Great. And what is that website?
LisaHaisha.com.
Okay.
Very easy. Yeah. And then I'm going to start that, and then start doing 2 or 3 big seminars a year here, and then one in maybe Dubai, London, Zurich, Barcelona. I'll pick 2 or 3 places over there a year, so do 5 or 6 a year.
And that's your strategy for world domination.
Yes.
To raise consciousness.
Yes. And I'm on chapter 5 of writing my book called Unmade Beds, which is about these travel adventures and about these people. But I have a rough draft, and it's like so big, because I have like 15 countries in there. So now I've got all this material. I've got to kill a lot of babies, is what they say in the writer's world. Yeah. So I'm going to, I'm streamlining it and focusing maybe a little more on the Middle East, and maybe 1 or 2 countries of telling a story about how to find your authentic soul and connect to yourself first, so you could connect to others. Because most people keep trying to connect, and they're not connecting to them, so it doesn't matter how many hands they shake. I go to all these networking things and they never work. It's like, because you're not connected to you, and people feel that.
Wow.
It's not genuine. So teaching that and watching people change is amazing. I someone called me again last minute. I was a last minute girl to go to Singapore to go speak in front of like 400 Asians from around Asia, so from all the different countries. And they said, we're talking about finance. And I'm like, I don't do finance. They go, no, we just need someone because we're 7 men and we need a female. And I'm like, I don't do finance. And they go, yes, you do. Just do your soul blazing. I'm like, okay, fine. So they sent me there. So I go up on stage, all this business stuff, and then all these men in blue and gray suits sitting there. But I worked in Japan and I went to China and Hong Kong and Korea, blah, 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 all over. So I said, fine. So I'm looking at, I'm like, okay, how many of you guys know what a soul blazer is?
Yeah.
They're all sitting there and they're all like waiting to write down a note. And I'm like, okay, this isn't going to work. And then I said, okay, everyone on your feet. And I said, okay, high five the person next to you. They're not used to that stuff. And I said, okay, I need 5 people. I said, I need 3 people on the stage right now, but I need 5 people non-volunteer. And I said, I was already paid and flown here. I'm going to count to 5. If I don't have 5 people up here, I'm out of here. 1, 2, and then people started coming up on stage.
Yeah.
So the first person comes up and I said, it was a sales thing. So I'm like, sell me. So he's like, oh, here's whatever he's doing, not really looking at me and bowing. And I said, okay, who's bored? Who would you buy? I said, now watch this. So I had him go across the stage like this. Rawr! I said, be a jag, or a lion in the jungle. And he's like, no. He goes, oh. I said, no. Go big and stretch. And then I got him to do that. Everyone's laughing because they all kind of know each other. Yeah. Then I said, sell me now. Then he's like, oh, and it was so much, we connected because he was out of his, I'm supposed to be a proper. And I'm like, and everyone like, ooh, wow, Then the next person, I had him do something goofy, and then everyone's cracking up the whole hour. And then I go, I want to go to Bali. And I said, okay, there's the back of the room. I said, the first 5 people, I'm going to let you go to Bali with me. I'm doing a small weekend retreat because I was going to stay 10 days. I said, for $5,000, whoever pays first is on this trip. And I got 6 people to go to Bali.
It's the best.
So all of a sudden I had all this money. I'm like, I brought a friend of mine and I brought Ava. I'm like, let's go to Bali. We're going to extend this trip. I got 30 grand. Woo, party.
What a manifester.
And then I said, it's 4 hours for each day. So Saturday and Sunday, I just had them come to my bungalow because I got a nice bungalow.
Yeah, of course you did.
I worked with them for 4 hours. They were thrilled. I helped them with their stuff. They were off and we stayed there for 10 days and had a wonderful trip. But it's just about being fearless, like what do they want and getting them out of their comfort zone. But if I had not spent time in Japan or Korea or China, I wouldn't have had that comfort zone. Yep. And then the guy who hired me said, see, and you got the highest marks of anybody. And you said, I don't speak finance because I taught him the soul of finance. I said, if you guys want to earn money, be you. Yeah. Be authentic. You guys are cookie cutters of each other. Yep. Look at this guy's personality. Did anyone see it? Look at this. All of them had such a unique personality. I said, look at that. That's what you're selling is your uniqueness. Not just, okay, I'm a proper, and then they got it. So they said, so
that's what I'm taking away from your work is you're allowing people to see that those fears that they have trapped in whatever that character is, they're fake, they're false,
fake.
They're not real.
They're like what you're saying.
When
it's a character.
It's each of those little fearful, we come into this world, we get this little core wound. And I think our whole journey is to let go of whatever that core wound, that ego identity, let it go. Get into your authenticity of who you truly are, that true self, that divine character within. Let the fear go. And you've demonstrated that even the scary people, they're like, no, I want to be seen. I want to be heard.
Yeah.
I love your
absolutely. Work. Yeah, they loved
being seen and heard.
Yeah.
And before we close today, I need some clarity. In your backyard is a log cabin, a teepee, and a statue of Buddha. Please tell me about those.
Okay. When I moved to this house, I wanted to create a spiritual retreat center and have a lot of functions, karaoke, do everything, spiritual events, have healers, teachers here. So I tried to create a magical space where people would come in and go, oh my God, my energy shifted in here, or I just feel different. They feel transformed just by walking through the door. Yeah. I don't know how much I achieved, but that was my goal. So in the backyard, I have this beautiful backyard because I thought, now what can I do with it? Because my intention was to have a big backyard where it could hold 300, 400 people. So I thought, I went around, looked, and the way I usually do things is let something speak to me. So I just kept going to all these different stores and then I saw that Buddha and I went, wow, it was way up high on some shelf and they had hundreds of different things.
That would have been a sturdy shelf if it was.
It was really sturdy. Yeah, but it was way up high. And I thought, oh, wow, that would look great on top of my pool house because that's like way up high. And then, so I thought, I'm going to get it there and it's going to oversee the whole grounds.
Oh, good.
So I got it and I brought it home, and then they said it's going to cost about $3,000 just to put it up there. We need a crane, we need this, we need that, and we don't think that's sturdy enough to even hold it. So I ended up putting it right at the front of the pool, which I think is a better place, because in the house now you could see it, and I lit it up. So every night it's got the spotlights and it's just beautiful. So it actually worked out.
So nice.
And then I meditate, and I always have a sacred spot, because I think you can meditate wherever you are. Let me meditate here, there. But I think to have a place that you go to every day, and then somehow the energy there, you sit and you're like in it so much faster. You're in Kundalini.
I have one of those.
She's got a sacred space.
Yes.
And my sacred space. Yeah.
And you go, what's a place that a lot of people don't go to? You know, so in my house, I thought, it has all this energy there. Let me find my place. So that became my sacred place, where I sit there. I light the candles and I sit there and meditate in the morning and at nighttime. And then the log cabin is Carrie Fisher's, who I love. She is just like my inspiration on so many levels, for writing, her humor, everything she's been through and come through. And I thought it's a great inspiration for my daughter, who's funny and wants to be a comedian. So one of my friends was helping with her estate when she passed, and said, look what I have. I know you love her. Do you want this?
Yeah.
So I said, yes. So they brought it over. We put it together here. Yeah.
Have you had any intuitive hits with the essence of Carrie Fisher involved with that cabin or anything?
You know, I sit in there and say, Carrie, speak to me when I have writer's block.
Yeah.
What would you do?
What would you do?
Tell me a joke here. How do I segue out of this? And, you know, so I focus on that, and I take her book in there and I read her book while I'm sitting in there. And,
so good.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
I love it. And she talks about imposters too. So I really connect with her on that also.
Nice.
You are awesome. We love your work. We're bigger fans, even bigger than we already were. It's so good to get to talk with you and connect with you.
Oh, thank you.
So at the end of the show, we like to have the guest give us this kind of summation. If there's one thing that I want people to take away from my work, it's this thing. So what would that be for you?
One thing would be learning to love yourself. Because if you don't love and connect to yourself, you have nothing else.
Yeah.
Again, I hang out with and have hung out with everybody, dignitaries from all over the world, to top Hollywood stars, top singers, musicians, everybody, to Bedouins, everyone. Prostitutes in Amsterdam. I knocked on the glass doors and talked to them. I paid them to sit in there and hear their stories. I mean, everyone around the world, you know, that thing, one common thread is people don't love themselves. We've been beaten up so much as kids of, you're not good enough. Don't do it this way. Don't do that. Parents are stressed. Snap at you. Go to your room. Nobody could deal with anything. So we're taught that we're meaningless. And we have to build ourselves up. And some parents you're so great, where they become a narcissist, and they're not so great. They haven't built the traits to be so great. You know, they haven't done the work. So then they get lazy, and then they don't like themselves, even if they're successful. Well, I know how to make money, so I'm gonna, because I'm great. Or they took over the family business. Then when I'm working with them, they're just like, they're so unhappy. So I worked with a surgeon who went on one of my retreats in Costa Rica, and he never came to the class, which 40 people. And at the end, I talked to everybody for like 15 minutes to sum up. Oh, let's do a private. Is there anything? Then he came in. I'm like, I never saw you here. You know, he's like, oh, I didn't really want to be part of this. This isn't really my thing. I'm like, okay, you Googled the Soul Blazer at 2 a.m. and you paid $10,000 for 10 days. This isn't your thing. You're smart enough to book a trip to Costa Rica if you just wanted to take pictures. Right. So he wanted to be uncovered. So I said, let's talk. Let's give you something. And I role played with him and did the same thing. I had him come home from work, and his mom was his 4 children. He said, I'm happily married, have 4 kids. I'm a doctor, a surgeon. I have patients. I'm like, okay, I'm going to show you what your world is like. He's like, okay. I said, leave the room, come in. I pretended to be his mom, the kids, and I mean his wife. And I'm like, oh shit, he's home. You know, he comes home. I knew he'd be angry, arrogant, because of just everything. I became his patient, and I said, oh, he's a good doctor. You come there. I'm like, God, why are you so mean to me? Can you talk in a softer voice? Can you do this? He's like, oh my God. I said, nobody likes you. They hire you because you're one of the best, but you have a horrible bedside manner. You're a horrible father. You're a horrible husband. And I said, this is what he said. Oh, my parents forced me to be a doctor or a lawyer. I hate it. I don't. Then I said, okay, quit. Anyway, cut to a year later, he quit his job and became an author and a writer, and he's much happier.
Yeah.
But that's what people do.
Yeah.
When you don't love themselves, you just, I want to please my parents, or I want to please this person. Then you start hating yourself because you're not being authentic.
Yeah.
So you have to love and appreciate yourself. You have to connect to you first. And if meditation's the best way, or looking at yourself in the mirror every day and just close, saying, I love you, and saying your name. And just looking at you, talking to your soul, soul to soul. And then you start your day. You're going, okay, I love myself. What are my affirmations?
So
I
good.
expect miracles. I'm a strong, confident woman who stands in my power. My dreams manifest into reality.
I've had to do that.
All that kind of
I
stuff.
had a big triangle sitting on my mirror for a year.
Yes.
And every time I was at that mirror, I looked at it.
Yes, until it becomes who you are. They're not just words. You have to embody them.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference.
And
in
what did that triangle
affirmations.
say?
I choose to make my own choices.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because she felt in her journey, she was like making for the husband, or making it for the kids, or making it for the parents, and she never found her own authentic voice. And so every decision she made, she said, is it
Every
my choice?
decision is my
I'm making
my
my
choice.
decisions.
Same with what Madonna said.
Yeah.
Travel alone to make all your own choices.
Beautiful.
Yes.
And so every day at the end of the day, I would go through my day and, did I make my own choice here? Did I make it here? And really look and see. And I found where I was and where I wasn't, and being present to being in that, making my own choices. Yeah.
Nice.
So,
And how long did it take for it to sink in?
I think it was probably 10 months before I'm like, I think I can take this thing down now.
Yeah, that's honest. And I think sometimes you should do it for your whole life, because it's like a muscle working out.
It's an ongoing process.
And once you stop doing it, you start to slip back into your own ways. Just like braces, you wear braces. If you don't keep a retrainer, they go back to where they were eventually. Whether 1 year or 2 years, it's the same. You got to keep training your brain just like you train your body.
Well, and sometimes we expand and then we kind of forget, and then we contract.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you have to expand again.
Yes.
And it's just kind of that law.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, one thing
so much.
I've learned from today's conversation is the world needs less fear and more Lisa Haisha.
Okay. More love.
Thank you for doing what you're doing.
Of course. Thank you.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Thank
you
you
for letting us explore your human journey.
Oh, thank you.
And to you we say, namaste.
Namaste.
Thanks for joining us here on Exploring the Human Journey. You can find us as a video on YouTube or listen to us as a podcast. You can also join in the conversation by following us on Facebook and Instagram. For more information, go to the website at exploringthehumanjourney.com.